The DNC is just a month away, with some Democrats calling on President Biden to end his re-election bid.
And Fox 5 legal expert Wendy Patrick is here to explain the potential legal issues. Good morning, Wendy, and thank you for being here.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, so this was all the talk last week and the week before,
That's right.
But obviously after this weekend's events with the attempt on President Trump's life, it feels like it's come to a halt. However, the DNC is next month. We're about a month out, so this is going to pick back up. What legally speaking, how does this happen for Biden to step down?
You know, we were talking about exactly that question all of last week and all of Saturday, and now we're reminded that elections are settled by ballots, not bullets. So we focus again on what would it take legally to replace President Biden if that were the route to go. Well, it's interesting. Legally, you have different states with different laws. That's what makes it tricky, because you've got all these delegates that are going to convene in Chicago in August. And one of the unintended consequences of having that debate early was there's enough time to be talking about what that process would look like. So there are three things that could happen. Number one, he could voluntarily step aside. It's not going to happen. What does he keep saying? I'm not going anywhere. Number two, they could replace him at the convention. Again, not going to happen. These are very loyal delegates. That's why they were chosen to be delegates. The third option would be the trickiest and also not likely. He could be replaced after the convention. So when you think through all those three options, you already have the Heritage Foundation saying they will sue, talk about lawsuits and legal thorny issues, if he's replaced the wrong way. But a lot of people are looking at these laws that are rarely used or even talked about and saying, well, we want to make sure we don't do anything the wrong way because this just doesn't happen. What'll likely continue to be discussed behind the scenes, perhaps less so now that, as you mentioned, we've all been sort of redirected to focusing on the GOP convention and having a peaceful process, is it's probably likely that this will just play out the way it was meant to because the clock is running out. If we were saying the Democratic convention were going to be in October with a November election, there'd be a lot more time to think about how we can replace the president today and what that would look like. And then again, who's going to get the money if, God forbid, that should happen.
But Wendy, we do know that there is pressure, even coming from inside the Democratic Party, for that change to happen.
There's pressure, but there's not time. That is, and I'll tell you why legally that would be a thorny issue. Why wouldn't it necessarily have to be Vice President Kamala Harris? Can you imagine if it were anybody other than somebody that the people at the convention already know? She has been out in front. Now she's out in front a lot more last week than she has been, let's say, over the last 3.5 years. But nonetheless, she's a known quantity, a known presence. And can you imagine if President Biden were to step aside for any reason? Maybe it would be a health concern. I can't think of, he says that only the almighty coming down would change his mind, but that may be in the form of some kind of a health crisis. Were that to happen, she would be the blessed nominee. And here, let me tell you why that's important legally. Whoever it is going to say, show me the money. Where are all the funds that have been raised going to go? Where would those delegates agree that it should go other than to the number 2 online on the ticket? Now, the trickier thing becomes, who would her vice president be?
Well, that's going down now. Okay, so let's say hypothetically something like that happens, which you are saying likely it wouldn't. Would there be a difference if that decision was made before the convention? Let's say the president steps down, now the vice president assumes the role of being the president. Is it different then to wait till after the convention to do something like that?
Absolutely, Shali. It is so much easier. Because why? Because the candidates is nominated at the convention. And I say candidates plural because it's both president and vice president. It happens at the convention. Now, it's a little tricky this year because you've got one state that you have to do it by August 7th. The rest have to do it by August 22nd because that's the end of the Democratic convention. Remember, it runs the 19th to the 22nd of August in Chicago. Were it to occur after a nomination had already taken place, there is a way to do it, but it's just so much more complicated because you don't have that buy-in that the delegates are there to provide at the convention. And remember, the voters, they're really voting for the Electoral College delegates. That's, one of the things we also talk about once every 4 years, because the Electoral College is who actually nominates the president. So before the convention, they've got a couple of weeks to work with. As you both mentioned, the clock is paused right now. And as far as predictions go, we wouldn't have predicted an assassination attempt over the weekend. So it's virtually impossible to say, we can predict some kind of a health crisis, but it just doesn't seem likely.
So the DNC is a month out. We've got 4 months until the election, just about. I mean, you're right. The time is ticking. Time is just really not on their side. And like you said, Biden says, I'm not going anywhere.
That's right, but let's see how long these discussions behind the scenes and now vocally, even sometimes in front of a camera, are going to remain paused. My prediction is that after the GOP convention is over this week, we formally have a nomination of GOP president and vice president. Now let's see if the narrative turns and those Democrats begin to talk again. Now that even narrows their window even farther, but my prediction is we're at least going to continue to talk about what that would look like.
We'll continue to watch it all. Wendy Patrick, always good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.